There was a moment I will never forget. My father was lying in a hospital bed, unable to speak because of the tubes helping him breathe. I leaned close and told him that I loved him. He couldn't say the words back, but with all the strength he had left, he slowly pointed to himself and then to me. I asked if he was telling me that he loved me too. His eyes widened slightly, and he gave a gentle nod. It was a small gesture, but in that moment it meant everything. It was the last clear exchange we shared before he began drifting in and out of consciousness, and eventually, mostly out. In those early days, I desperately wanted him to keep fighting. Part of me knew that he wanted to fight too. He wasn't ready to leave this world, and if I was being honest, neither was I. I searched for hope in every medical update, every test result, every small improvement. I spoke with doctors and sought opinions wherever I could, holding on to the possibility that he might recover. For a brief time, there were a few encouraging signs. Then those signs disappeared. Day by day, the hope grew smaller. The doctors had fewer answers and fewer options. My father's body, once so strong and dependable, began to look exhausted. Watching the person who had always been my source of safety and strength slowly fade was one of the most painful experiences of my life. I felt helpless. I felt lost. I wanted more conversations, more laughter, more of his comforting hugs. More than anything, I wanted more time. But not like this. Eventually, after several honest conversations with the medical team, I had to face a truth I didn't want to accept. He was not going to wake up. Machines could keep his body alive, but they could not bring him back to us. He was suffering, and I realized that keeping him there was no longer about helping him. It was about my fear of losing him. Making the decision to remove life support was the hardest thing I have ever done. Every part of me wanted to hold on. Yet deep down, I knew that love sometimes asks us to do the impossible. It asks us to put someone else's peace above our own pain. The next time I stood beside him, I whispered softly into his ear. I told him that he had tried so hard. I told him that we would be okay, and I told him that it was okay for him to let go. The rest of that day felt unreal. Life around me continued as if nothing had happened. People hurried through their routines, making plans, having conversations, and going about ordinary tasks. Meanwhile, my world had been completely changed. I couldn't understand how everything else could keep moving when such a huge part of my life was slipping away. In the beginning, grief was sharp and overwhelming. His absence felt impossible to comprehend. I kept expecting to see him, hear his voice, or feel his presence nearby. The loss sat heavily on my chest every day. Along with the sadness came fear. I didn't know how to navigate life without someone who had always been there. I didn't know who I was supposed to be without him. As the years passed, the grief didn't disappear, but it changed. What once felt like a crushing weight slowly became a quieter ache. The pain softened into gratitude. Instead of constantly focusing on the fact that he was gone, I found myself appreciating the love he had given me and the memories we had shared. I still wished he were here. I still do. But alongside that longing came a deeper sense of peace. Somewhere along the way, I began to understand something that grief had been trying to teach me all along. Letting go is not the same as giving up. For much of my life, I believed that love meant holding on. It meant fighting harder, trying longer, and refusing to loosen my grip. Letting go felt like surrender. It felt like failure. It even felt like betrayal. But eventually, I realized that much of my suffering came not only from losing someone I loved, but from desperately wishing reality were different. I wanted more time. I wanted a different ending. I wanted life to be kinder than it was. It wasn't. And accepting that truth broke my heart in a completely different way. Over time, I realized that this lesson applies to so much more than death. We hold on to relationships, dreams, expectations, plans, and versions of ourselves. We cling to what was because it mattered. We hold on because we're not ready for change. We hope that if we grip tightly enough, somehow things will return to the way they were. Yet sometimes what we're really holding on to isn't the thing itself. It's the hope that reality will change. It's the wish that the ending can still be rewritten. Letting go doesn't mean something wasn't important. It doesn't mean we stop caring. It doesn't mean the loss suddenly feels fair. It simply means we stop demanding that life become something other than what it is. That understanding has changed the way I move through difficult endings. Not overnight, and not without struggle. Even now, when something important is changing, I can feel the resistance inside me. I notice the tension in my chest and the urge to hold tighter. Instead of fighting those feelings, I've learned to meet them with compassion. I often ask myself a simple question. Am I holding on because this still belongs in my life? Or because I'm struggling to accept that it has changed? Sometimes I ask whether I can honor what something meant to me without needing it to stay exactly as it was. And sometimes I ask what I'm truly afraid of feeling if I let go. I still miss my father. I still wish I could hug him one more time. I still wish we had been given more years together. But when I look back on that final decision now, I no longer see it as giving up. I see it as one of the purest expressions of love I have ever known. It was love without control, love without bargaining, love that could no longer fix the situation or change the outcome, love that simply told the truth. You tried. It's okay. You can rest now. Many of us are taught to admire persistence, determination, and the ability to keep fighting. And there are certainly times when those qualities are necessary. But life has also taught me that strength can look much softer than we expect. Sometimes strength is accepting what we cannot change. Sometimes strength is choosing peace over resistance. Sometimes strength is loosening our grip when every part of us wants to hold on. And sometimes healing begins the moment we stop trying to force life to match our wishes and start meeting it with honesty, compassion, and courage. Not because we care any less, but because we finally understand that love does not always mean holding on. Sometimes the most loving thing we can do is let go.